The SUV door swung open, and rain hammered against the leather interior. She clutched the envelope tighter, her knuckles white against the brown paper. "Get her out," Dante Moretti's voice cut through the thunder. Cold, final, absolute. His driver, Marco, reached for her arm, but she didn't move. She couldn't. Not yet. Her eyes found his in the rearview mirror, those black eyes that had haunted her for 3 months, and something inside her shattered. "Your daughter," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Your daughter is dying." The world stopped. Dante's hand froze on his phone. Marco's grip loosened. And in that moment, suspended between lightning strikes, everything Dante thought he knew exploded into 1,000 pieces. This is a story of secrets, second chances, and words that can change everything. If you want to know how one desperate plea transformed a ruthless mafia boss into something he never thought he could be, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every view, every like, every share, it all matters. Now, let's go back to where it all began. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams. Elena Martinez wiped down table 7 for the 3rd time, her back screaming from the double shift. 14 hours on her feet. $63 in tips. Rent was due in 4 days, and she was $200 short. Again. Her phone buzzed. She didn't need to look to know it was the hospital. Another bill. Another reminder that her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, needed treatments they couldn't afford. Treatments that cost more than Elena made in 6 months. Table 12. Joey shouted from the kitchen. Elena grabbed the coffee pot, forcing her face into something resembling a smile. The diner was nearly empty, just the usual night crowd. Truckers. Insomniacs. People with nowhere else to go at 2 a.m. Then the door opened. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. 3 men walked in, and everyone suddenly found their plates fascinating. They wore suits that cost more than Elena's car, the car she'd sold 3 weeks ago. The man in the middle moved like a blade through water, smooth, dangerous, purposeful. Dark hair swept back, jaw carved from granite, eyes that could freeze blood. He didn't look at the menu. Didn't look at anything except the corner booth, which had been occupied by an elderly couple. They were up and out the door in 30 seconds. Elena's hands trembled as she approached. She'd lived in Chicago's South Side long enough to recognize power when she saw it. And money. And danger. "Coffee," the man said without looking up. His voice was silk wrapped around steel. "Right away." Elena's voice came out steady. A small miracle. She poured, hyper-aware of the 2 men flanking him. One had a scar bisecting his eyebrow. The other kept his hand inside his jacket. Neither smiled. "Anything else?" she asked. Finally, he looked up. The world tilted. His eyes weren't just dark, they were endless. Ancient. Eyes that had seen things Elena couldn't imagine and had probably ordered half of them. But there was something else there, too. Something that made her breath catch. Recognition. Not of her specifically, but of something in her. The same exhaustion. The same weight. "What's your name?" he asked. Elena's training screamed at her to lie. "Elena. Elena." He said it like he was tasting wine. "You work 2 jobs?" How did he? 3, she corrected before she could stop herself. Cleaning offices at dawn, the diner until midnight, and weekend shifts at a laundromat. Something shifted in his expression. Why? The question was so unexpected, so direct, that Elena answered truthfully. "My daughter is sick." The words hung in the air. Elena wanted to snatch them back, swallow them, pretend she hadn't just exposed her biggest vulnerability to a man who radiated danger like heat from asphalt. How sick? His attention was now completely on her, and it was overwhelming. Very. Elena's throat tightened. She shouldn't be having this conversation. Not here. Not with him. Excuse me. She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. I'm Dante. She didn't turn back. Didn't acknowledge the introduction. Because girls like Elena didn't get involved with men like Dante. They survived them. Avoided them. Prayed they never noticed them. But as she retreated to the kitchen, she could feel his eyes on her back. Burning. Claiming. And somehow, she knew this wasn't over. 3 nights later, Elena was covering another shift when Dante returned. Same booth. Same suit. No, different suit, equally expensive. Same eyes that seemed to strip away every defense she'd ever built. This time, he didn't ask for coffee. Sit, he commanded. I'm working. Sit. Not a request. Elena glanced at Joey, who suddenly found the grill fascinating. She slid into the booth, keeping as much distance as possible. Which wasn't much. Tell me about your daughter. Why? Elena's hands clenched under the table. Because I asked. The arrogance should have infuriated her. Instead, something in his tone, something almost gentle, made her answer. Lily. She's 5. She has acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The words tasted like ash. She needs a bone marrow transplant. We're on waiting lists, but... Elena's voice cracked. Time isn't something we have a lot of. Dante was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out a card, heavy, cream-colored, embossed with a single phone number. Call this number tomorrow. 9 a.m. Ask for Dr. Russo at Chicago Memorial. Elena stared at the card. I can't afford. You're not paying. His tone brooked no argument. I don't accept charity. It's not charity. Dante leaned forward, and Elena caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker. Gunpowder, maybe. Consider it an investment. In what? His smile was slow, dangerous, beautiful. We'll see. He stood, buttoned his jacket, and walked out. Elena sat frozen, the card burning in her palm like a brand. She should throw it away. She should run. She should do anything except call that number. But when she got home at 3 a.m. and saw Lily asleep in their cramped studio, pale and small under worn blankets, Elena knew she'd make the call. Some choices weren't really choices at all. They were survival. Dr. Russo was waiting when Elena arrived at Chicago Memorial. The hospital was nothing like the overcrowded public clinic where Lily had been treated. Here, everything gleamed. Everything whispered money. Ms. Martinez. Dr. Russo was middle-aged, kind-eyed, professional. Mr. Moretti asked me to examine your daughter. When can she come in? Elena's throat closed. How much? There's no charge. Mr. Moretti has made arrangements. Arrangements. Such a clean word for whatever devil's bargain Dante Moretti had orchestrated. What does he want in return? Dr. Russo's expression remained neutral. That's between you and Mr. Moretti. My only concern is your daughter's health. Can you bring her in tomorrow? Elena brought Lily in the next day. And the day after. Tests. Scans. Consultations with specialists who normally had 6-month waiting lists. Within a week, they'd found a compatible donor. Within 2 weeks, Lily was scheduled for transplant. It was a miracle. It was a trap. Elena knew it, but she couldn't stop. Wouldn't stop. Not when Lily smiled for the first time in months. Not when the color started returning to her daughter's cheeks. Not even when the bill arrived. $350,000. Paid in full by Dante Moretti. Elena stared at the statement, her blood turning to ice. She'd known it would be expensive. But this was impossible. Unpayable. She'd be in debt to him for the rest of her life. The knock on her door came at exactly 8 p.m. Marco, the scarred man from the diner, stood in the hallway. "Mr. Moretti requests your presence." "I'm not going anywhere with you." "Your daughter is at your neighbor's, Mrs. Chen. She's safe." "We made sure." Marco's expression softened slightly. "The boss doesn't hurt women or children. He just wants to talk." The black SUV was waiting downstairs. Elena climbed in, every instinct screaming danger. Dante sat in the back, illuminated by the glow of his phone. He looked up as she settled across from him, and her traitorous heart skipped. "Thank you," Elena said, forcing the words out. "For Lily." "You're welcome." Silence stretched between them. The SUV pulled away from the curb, gliding through Chicago's nighttime streets. "What do you want from me?" Elena finally asked. "I can't pay you back. Not in money." "I know." Dante set his phone aside, giving her his full attention. "I want something else." Here it was. The moment where everything would fall apart. "I want you to work for me." Elena blinked. "What?" "I need someone I can trust in my home. Someone who isn't connected to my world. Someone with everything to lose if they betray me." His gaze pinned her. "Someone with a daughter who needs continued medical care." It was elegant. Ruthless. A golden cage with a sick child as the lock. "What kind of work?" "Housekeeping. Cooking occasionally. Being present when I have certain guests. Making my home look lived in. Normal." Something dark flickered across his face. "I'm trying to legitimize some of my business holdings. A family man is more trustworthy than a bachelor." "You want me to pretend we're together?" "No." His answer was immediate. "I want you to work for me. What people assume is their business." Elena's mind raced. The money for Lily's ongoing care. A steady income. But also proximity to a man who terrified and attracted her in equal measure. A man whose world was violence and shadows. "And if I say no?" Dante's smile was sharp. "Then Lily continues her treatment, free and clear." "I don't hold children hostage, Elena. But you'd be walking away from a job that pays $50,000 a year, includes health insurance, and housing in the guest quarters of my estate." $50,000. More than her 3 jobs combined. Housing, meaning no more rent. Health insurance for Lily. "You're not going to hurt me?" The question slipped out. Something in Dante's eyes softened, just for a moment. "No, Elena. I'm not going to hurt you." She wanted to believe him. God help her, she did. "I'll do it." "Good." He pulled out a folder. "You start Monday. Marco will help you move your things. Lily will have her own room. There's a garden she can play in. Security cameras everywhere. She'll be the safest child in Chicago." As the SUV pulled up to Elena's building, Dante caught her wrist. His touch was warm, firm, electric. "One more thing," he said softly. "Stay away from the West Wing. And if you see or hear anything unusual, forget it immediately. Your safety depends on your ignorance." Elena nodded, her pulse hammering where his fingers rested against her skin. She was walking into a gilded prison. But for Lily, for her daughter's life, she'd walk through fire. What she didn't know was that Dante Moretti was already burning, and she was about to become the flame. Dante's estate wasn't a house. It was a fortress disguised as a Mediterranean villa. 20-foot walls. Armed guards at every entrance. Cameras tracking every angle. And inside, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably cost more than Elena's entire neighborhood. The guest quarters were larger than her entire apartment. 2 bedrooms. A bathroom with a tub Lily could swim in. A kitchen she didn't need because meals were prepared by Dante's chef. It was paradise. It was terrifying. Miss Elena. Lily spun in circles in her new room, laughing. It's like a princess castle. Elena forced a smile, watching her daughter, her beautiful sick daughter who finally had color in her cheeks, dance among furniture that cost more than a car. Remember what I said, baby. We're guests here. We have to be respectful. I will. Lily hugged her stuffed rabbit. Is the nice man who helped me going to live here too? Elena's chest tightened. Dante had visited Lily once in the hospital, bringing a stuffed animal and speaking to her with a gentleness that had shattered something inside Elena. He'd crouched to Lily's level, let her touch the tattoo on his wrist, and promised her she'd get better. Lily had believed him. Elena was still trying to. The first week was adjustment. Elena cleaned rooms that were already immaculate. She prepared meals that Dante rarely ate. She learned the patterns of the guards, the schedule of the chef, the silent language of Marco and the other men who moved through the house like dangerous shadows. And she learned Dante. He was up at 5 a.m., running the perimeter of the property. He took calls in 3 languages, English, Italian, and something that might have been Russian. He worked until midnight most nights, the light in his office burning long after everyone else slept. He was obsessive about security. Every entrance checked twice. Every visitor screened. Every car swept for tracking devices. And he never, ever touched her. Not even accidentally. It was driving Elena insane. Because every time he walked past her in the kitchen, she felt the heat of him. Every time his eyes met hers across the dinner table, her breath caught. Every time he spoke her name, Elena, in that low, rough voice, something inside her melted. It was wrong. Dangerous. Impossible. And completely undeniable. The breaking point came 2 weeks in. Elena was bringing Dante his evening coffee when she heard the voices. Angry. Threatening. Coming from his office. She should have walked away. Should have remembered his warning. Instead, she froze outside the door. Don't care about your excuses, Sal. You shorted me 50 grand. Dante's voice was ice and razors. Do you know what I do to people who steal from me? Boss, please. The other voice was panicked. I trusted you. Put you in charge of the North Side distribution. And you betrayed me. Elena's hands trembled, coffee sloshing in the cup. Distribution. She didn't want to know what that meant. Didn't want to confirm what she already suspected. Please, I have kids. So does everyone. A pause. Then, softer, more terrible. Marco. Take him. Elena stumbled backward as the office door opened. Marco appeared, dragging a sobbing man. Their eyes met, hers wide with fear, his flat and cold. You didn't see anything, Marco said quietly. Elena nodded and fled. She made it to the kitchen before the shaking started. She'd known what Dante was. Known his world was violence and crime. But hearing it, seeing it... Elena! She spun. Dante stood in the doorway, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to. I know. He moved closer, and Elena backed against the counter. You're afraid of me now. Yes. No point lying. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. Or resignation. Good. You should be. Did you kill him? The question escaped before Elena could stop it. No. Dante stopped a foot away, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. I broke 3 of his fingers and took everything he owns. He'll work off his debt in my warehouses. It'll take him 5 years. His jaw tightened. I'm not a monster, Elena. I'm just not a good man. Then why help Lily? Why help me? Because I can. His hand lifted, hovering near her face but not touching. Because when I looked at you in that diner, exhausted and beautiful and fighting so hard for your daughter, I saw something I thought I'd lost a long time ago. What? Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Hope. The word hung between them, raw and honest. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. She should move. Should put distance between them. Instead, she lifted her hand and placed it over his where it still hovered near her cheek. His skin was warm, calloused, surprisingly gentle. Dante, she breathed. His control snapped. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. His other hand settled on her waist, pulling her close. Not forceful. Giving her every opportunity to pull away. She didn't. Tell me to stop, he murmured, his lips a breath away from hers. I can't. He kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was fire and desperation and 3 weeks of tension exploding into this single moment. Elena's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer, needing more, needing everything. Dante groaned against her mouth, pressing her back against the counter, his body hard and overwhelming against hers. His hands slid into her hair, angling her head for deeper access. Elena surrendered to it, to him, to the impossible gravity pulling them together. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "This is a mistake," he whispered. "I know. I can't give you a normal life. I know. You should run from me. I know." Elena opened her eyes, meeting his tortured gaze. "I'm not running." Dante's arms tightened around her. "Then God help us both." The next morning, everything changed. Elena woke to find a manila envelope slipped under her door. Inside, photographs. Her and Dante in the kitchen. The kiss. Different angles. Professional quality. And a note in neat handwriting. "He has many enemies. So do you now." Elena's blood turned to ice. She found Dante in his office, already dressed for the day, phone pressed to his ear. When he saw her face, he ended the call immediately. What happened? Elena handed him the envelope. She watched his expression darken, watched his jaw clench so hard she heard his teeth grind. Fuck. He pulled out his phone, rapid-firing orders. Mako, full lockdown. No. Check all entry points. I want footage from last night, every camera. Dante. He looked at her, and the fear in his eyes terrified her more than any threat. This is Vittorio. My uncle. He's been trying to take over my operations for years. Dante's hands clenched around the photos. He'll use you to get to me. Then I'll leave. I'll take Lily and... No. The command was absolute. You leave, you're dead within 24 hours. Vittorio doesn't leave loose ends. He moved to her, gripping her shoulders. You're safer here than anywhere else in the world. I promise you that. What about Lily? Already being moved to the secure wing. 3 guards minimum, around the clock. His thumb stroked her shoulder, an unconscious gesture of comfort. No one touches her, Elena. I swear it on my life. Elena wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that this man, this dangerous, violent, impossible man, could keep them safe. The explosion shook the house. Dante shoved Elena to the floor, covering her body with his as plaster rained down. Alarms screamed. Gunfire erupted somewhere outside. Stay down. Dante barked, pulling a gun from his desk drawer. He spoke rapidly into his phone. Mako, report. Where's the girl? Elena's heart stopped. Lily. Safe, Mako's voice crackled through. Secure wing is locked down. Threat neutralized at the east gate. 3 hostiles down. It was a distraction, boss. For what? Dante's eyes scanned the room, cataloging threats. Then he saw it. The red dot on Elena's chest. Down! He tackled her again as the window exploded. The bullet buried itself in the wall where her head had been 2 seconds earlier. Dante returned fire, 3 precise shots, then dragged Elena behind the desk. Elena, look at me. His hand gripped her chin, forcing her to focus. I'm getting you out of here. Do exactly what I say. She nodded, unable to speak past the terror. Dante pulled her up, keeping her behind him as they moved toward the door. Marco appeared, weapon drawn, eyes scanning. Clean? Dante asked. Clean. Snipers down. But boss, Marco hesitated. There's something you need to see. They moved through the house, guards flanking them on all sides. Elena's legs shook, but Dante's hand on her back kept her upright, kept her moving. The secure wing. Lily's room. Everything looked normal. Lily was playing with her rabbit, unaware of the chaos. But on the wall, written in what looked like blood, "Give us Elena, or next time we take the child." Dante's entire body went rigid. When he spoke, his voice was death itself. "Get my uncle on the phone. Now." The call lasted 3 minutes. Elena couldn't hear most of it, but she caught the end. "You come near them again, and I will burn down everything you love. Every business. Every house. Every person who's ever said your name. Do you understand me, Zio?" A pause. "No. This ends tonight." He hung up and turned to Elena. The man looking at her now wasn't the one who'd kissed her last night. This was the MAFIA boss. The killer. The monster. "Pack a bag for you and Lily. 15 minutes. What? Why? Because I'm taking you somewhere even Vittorio can't reach. Where? Dante's smile was sharp and cold. My island. Off the coast of Maine. 300 miles from anywhere. No one knows about it except my most trusted men. For how long? Until I kill everyone who threatened you. The certainty in his voice should have horrified her. Instead, Elena felt something else. Protected. Cherished. Claimed. Okay, she whispered. Dante's expression softened, just for a moment. He pulled her close, pressed a kiss to her forehead. I won't let anything happen to you. Either of you. I promise. Elena believed him. Even knowing what he was. Even knowing what he'd do. She believed him. The helicopter ride took 3 hours. Lily slept in Elena's lap, exhausted from the chaos. Dante sat across from them, phone pressed to his ear, orchestrating a war in 3 languages. Elena watched him work, saw the strategy, the precision, the absolute control. He was terrifying. He was magnificent. And somewhere along the way, she'd fallen completely in love with him. The island was exactly as promised. Isolated, beautiful, impossible to reach without permission. The house was smaller than the estate, but stunning. Glass walls overlooking the ocean. A beach that stretched for miles. Peace. How long? Elena asked as Dante carried a sleeping Lily to her room. A week. Maybe 2. He settled Lily in bed with a gentleness that made Elena's chest ache. I need to dismantle Vittorio's entire operation. It has to be thorough. Will you kill him? Dante looked at her for a long moment. Do you want the truth? Always. Yes. No hesitation. He threatened you. Threatened Lily. There's no coming back from that. Elena should have been horrified. Should have taken Lily and run. But all she felt was relief. Good, she whispered. Dante's eyes widened slightly. Elena. I know what you are, Dante. I've known from the beginning. She moved closer to him, her voice steady. "You're a killer. A criminal. Everything I should run from. But you're also the man who saved my daughter. Who protected us. Who kept his promises. I'm going to hell for the things I've done. Then I'll be right there with you." Elena reached up, cupping his face. "Because I'm in love with you." The words hung in the air, raw, honest, impossible. Dante's control shattered. He kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning. His hands were everywhere, her hair, her waist, her back, pulling her closer, always closer. Elena surrendered to it, to him, pouring 3 months of fear and desire and impossible hope into the kiss. When they finally broke apart, Dante pressed his forehead to hers, breathing hard. "I love you," he whispered in Italian. "Dio mi aiuti, ti amo." Elena's eyes burned with tears. "Say it in English. I love you." His thumb brushed away her tears. "I've loved you since I saw you in that diner, fighting so hard for your daughter. Since you looked at me without fear. Since you made me want to be something better than what I am. You are better." "Not yet." He kissed her again, softer this time. "But for you I'll try." They spent the week in paradise. During the day, Elena and Lily explored the beach while Dante worked from his office, phone calls and video conferences orchestrating his revenge. But the nights were theirs. On the third night, as they sat on the deck watching stars, Dante told her about his father, about growing up in the organization, about the violence that had shaped him into what he was. "I never wanted this life," he admitted. "I wanted to be an architect, design buildings that would last centuries." He laughed bitterly. "Instead, I destroy things." "You built something," Elena said softly. "You built hope. For Lily. For me." Dante pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. "You make me believe I can be more than this." "You already are." On the fifth night, as they lay tangled together in his bed, Dante's phone rang. He answered immediately. "Talk." Elena watched his expression shift, satisfaction, dark and complete. "Good. Burn it all. I want nothing left." A pause. "And Vittorio?" The answer made Dante smile. "Cold. Final. Perfect. Send the photos to his family. Let them know what happens when you threaten what's mine." He hung up and turned to Elena. "It's done. All of it. All of it. Every business, every asset, every connection. Vittorio is finished." His hand cupped her face. "You're safe now. Lily's safe. I made sure of it." Elena should have asked how. Should have demanded details. But she didn't want to know. Didn't need to know. All that mattered was that Dante had kept his promise. "Take us home," she whispered. Dante's arms tightened around her. "You are home. Both of you. For as long as you want." "Forever," Elena said. "I want forever. Then forever is yours." He kissed her, slow and deep and full of promises. "Ti amo, Elena. For the rest of my life. I love you too." 6 months later, Lily ran through the gardens of Dante's estate, healthy and strong and alive. Elena watched from the terrace, Dante's arm around her waist, his hand resting on the small swell of her stomach where their second child grew. "Happy?" he murmured against her hair. Elena turned in his arms, seeing the man he'd become. Still dangerous. Still powerful. But also hers. Theirs. More than I ever thought possible. Dante kissed her, soft and sure. "Good. Because I'm never letting you go. Promise. On my life." And as the sun set over Chicago, Elena finally understood. Sometimes the most dangerous choice was also the right one. Sometimes love came from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the monster was also the hero. And sometimes the last words you spoke could change everything. Forever. And that's how one desperate woman and one ruthless man found salvation in each other. If this story touched you, leave a like and share it with someone who loves epic romance. There are more stories coming. Tales of love, danger, and second chances. See you in the next one.